Alright, so here's some videos. Here's the first of a few videos about the final project. So here's the description, and it's pretty straightforward, I think. Here's the final report. What does it need to have in it? And so title, course number, and semester, your name or names if you're in a team, introduction, the intended population for the study, the variables of interest, and include their types. So this is both the interest in the study and any confounding variables. You want to put those in right up front. Your suggested methods of data collection, a sample of the expected structure of the data, and we'll go through. I'll have a video for each and every one of these. Well, I won't have one for A, B, and C there, but I'll have an intro for all the others. Tables, graphs, anything, contingency tables, bar charts, histograms, box plots, scatter plots, anything. And really, the more the merrier. Graphs. Now, tables, small tables are good. Big tables, you probably want to put those at the end. Statistical tests that you utilized, and of course those calculations and interpretation, a reflection on what you've learned and the appropriate references, and then of course you'll do the oral presentation. Now, where the final project is a little bit different than previous projects is the previous projects, the rubric, the grading rubric, pretty much followed the required items. Did you have each of these things and how did you do on it? In this case, the rubric's a little different in that, notice the first part of the rubric is just, did you have the required components? If you have them all, you can get 6 points out of 40. And so, this is a lot of components. Well, there's 13, I can tell, because M is the 13th letter. And so, more or less, I'll probably kind of go about a half a point per item. If you don't have one of them, you might lose a half a point, but it depends on the item. Your interpretation and reflection are very, very important items, and so you could lose more. References are important. But, okay, so you have all the things. Hey, wow, you've gotten 6 out of 40 points. Now, some of these others will get you more points as well, but sort of double dipping in a way, because if you have your statistical tests and utilized and you use them, you will probably get points for calculations. But so as we look at that, so you have all the required components, but here's the other points. Did you talk about your calculations? Now, those calculations might be from a spreadsheet template, but they're still calculations. And did you talk about them? Did you present them? Are they correct? That sort of thing. Appropriate mathematical symbology. So again, that's, well, the symbols are correct and complete. We haven't used a lot of symbols, but we have things like alpha. What alpha are you using? Are you doing something where you end up needing to use, the alpha star of the Bonferroni correction? Are you stating H0 and HA? That's mathematical symbols using that. So items like that. Assumptions, we have assumptions. So there are assumptions that go with the statistical tests, things like do we think we're working with normal distributions, that kind of thing. Did you state those? The mathematics explained. Again, that's for us. That's more the explanation of relating what we're doing to the mathematics. So in other words, you choose to do a chi-square test. Well, why did you choose that? What's the mathematics going on there? And that's partly the assumptions, that ties into that, partly into the calculations, but explaining why you're choosing what you're choosing. So that's that explanation. The possible conclusions from all your work. So you do all this calculation, you include all these items. As part of that, you came to a conclusion about your question. And what would that conclusion be? Now again, these are really plans for study. And so some of those conclusions might be, how many, did you have enough data, do you think? Whether you made up your data or not, and that sort of thing. How data and computational results support the conclusions. So you had these conclusions, but what are they based on? So we want to see that as far as that basing on that. Now, and then this one is just for the VoiceThread presentations, so your clear slides and so forth. So your presentation is worth 5 of the 40 points in the final project. And then you just the overall good flow, grammar, that sort of thing in the report. So you see, this is a little different in that you could include all these items, but do so and never address many of the items here, and therefore you'll get 6 points. And well, 6 out of 40 is not going to do it very well. So this stuff in here has to do with being complete in your explanation and your assumptions and your plan. Okay, so that's the overview of what's here. And as I said, I'll make videos kind of looking at each one of these letters and each one of these items here in the grading rubric.